At 3 o'clock in the morning, all 9 roosters in the yard simultaneously broke open their coop. The loud crash woke me from my sleep. When I opened my eyes, it was pitch black outside the window. There is no wind. There was no rain. But the old locust tree in the yard was shaking violently, its branches and leaves slapping against the window, making a dense thud. Bang! Another sound. It looked like something had hit the courtyard wall. I was just about to get up when the door was suddenly pushed open. Father Su-hung rushed in. He was wearing thin pajamas and holding a handful of copper coins and a red string in his hand. Su-yen, don't get out of bed. His voice was very low. This was the first time I'd ever seen him so nervous. Dad, what's going on outside? Su-hung did not answer. He walked to the window, opened a crack, and peeked outside. The next second, his expression changed. In the yard, all 9 roosters were raising their heads. They did not cry. He just stared intently at the outside of the courtyard wall. A pale light shone through the pitch-black chicken eye. The father immediately closed the window. Then I tied the red string around my wrist. Remember, from now on, you are not allowed to leave the room without my permission. Why? Because something came in tonight. I was stunned. When I was a child, I heard many similar things. But every time my father talked about these things, his expression didn't seem like he was lying. He was genuinely scared. I live in an old house on the edge of the village. The entire house was completely different from the other houses in the village. Everyone else's fences are square. My house is the only one that is a huge circle. I asked my father this question when I was a child. Why were our walls built like this? My father was laying bricks at the time. He paused for a moment and said, "Circles tend to trap things." What is that? He stared at me for a long time. You'll find out later. I didn't understand back then. I only understood it later. This house was never built for people to live in. Rather, it was to trap something. Every curve of the courtyard wall has been calculated. There are no right angles. There is no gap. From the outside, it looks like an ordinary house. In reality, it is a reverse feng shui trap. My father spent many years keeping everything that might come near me out, including the 9 roosters in the yard. Those 9 chickens were the only living creatures my father allowed to keep at home. They are violent in nature. Villagers who approach the gate of their courtyards are chased and pecked by them. But strangely enough, they have never uttered a sound since they were born. The village elder said, "A rooster that doesn't crow is more sinister than one that does. Because they are not for warding off evil spirits. They are taking on something for someone else. And that person was me. Every month on the 15th of the lunar calendar, fathers always do the same thing. He will let me cut my hair, trim your nails, then put all of these things away, mix it into the chicken feed." I was startled when I first saw it. "Dad, why did you feed the chickens my things?" The father is stirring the chicken feed. Upon hearing my voice, his hand stopped. "Because they need it." "Do you need my hair and nails?" "No." He looked at me. "They need to eat something for you." I frowned. "What is that?" The father remained silent. He spoke much later. "Things that came with you at birth." I didn't understand. But from then on, every 15th of the month, I would see my father sitting in front of the chicken coop. After the roosters eat food mixed with my feathers and nails, they become unusually quiet. It's like a transaction has been completed. I found out later. My father wasn't raising chickens. He was using these roosters to transfer the negative energy from my body. Because of my destiny, I was born with an inauspicious fate. Moreover, it is a rare and ominous fate that occurs only once in 1,000 years. My father kept this secret for 17 years. Until that blood moon appeared. I always thought my father was just an oddball. Until the stagnant pool on the back mountain. That place is less than half a mile from home. But my father never let me get close. When I was a child, I was playful and would go to the back mountain with the other children in the village. Just as I approached the pond, my father suddenly appeared. He grabbed my shoulder and pulled me back. It was so strong it hurt me. "Who told you to go there?" I've never seen him get so angry. "Dad, I'm just looking." "You're not allowed to look." "Why?" He stared at the stagnant water. His complexion grew increasingly grim. "They recognize you there." In short, it made me feel cold all over. After that, I never went near it again. Everyone in the village knows it. There's a strange pond behind my house. The pond water is green all year round. There are no fish. There were no insects. Even the grass nearby isn't growing well. The water is always calm, like a dead mirror. But every now and then, my father would bring a live chicken over. Then I stayed alone for a long time. When he returned, His clothes were always wet. I asked him, "Dad, what exactly are you putting in there?" He said, "To suppress something." "What is that?" "Something that cannot come out." At that time, I didn't know. Hidden at the bottom of the pool is the secret that my father has been guarding all these years. I don't know either. That has a direct connection to my fate. Until he was 17, 3 days before the blood moon appears, the father saw the unusual celestial phenomenon in the news. He sat in front of the computer, scrolling through various messages over and over again. The tea on the table has gone cold, but he didn't drink it. I stood to the side. "Dad, what's wrong?" He did not answer. The blood-red moon image on the screen was reflected on his face. His gaze gradually darkened. Sudden, the father lowered his head. I cried. I was completely stunned. From childhood to adulthood, I've seen him injured. I've seen him misunderstood by the villagers. I saw him repairing the courtyard wall alone in the rain, but I've never seen him shed a tear. Su Yen. His voice was hoarse. Your father has protected you for 17 years. We might not be able to hold out today. My heart sank. What exactly happened? He offered no explanation. He simply took out the small knife that he had been hiding all along. It pricked my finger. Fresh blood fell into a small black bottle. The father held the bottle, his hand trembling. "This is your lifeblood. Starting today, you must leave here." Then, he placed a black cloth bag, a short knife, and an old set of funeral clothes in front of me. There was also a piece of paper covered with writing. Listen carefully. These few words are a matter of life and death. I looked at my father. This is the first time I felt this way. This man has protected me for 17 years. They're really preparing me to face something terrible alone. After you leave, first change into your funeral clothes. Don't live in bustling areas. Find a secluded hotel and stay alone. After dark, no matter what noise you hear, do not go outside, especially at midnight. My father stared into my eyes. He said, word by word, if someone calls your name from outside the door, do not respond. If that person says he is me, don't open the door either. I gripped the paper tightly in my hand. Dad, what about you? The father did not answer. He simply walked to the doorway and looked at the circular courtyard wall outside. A long time passed. He said, go find Wei Si and tell him. Su Hun can't hold on any longer. That night, I left the home where I had lived for 17 years with my bag on my back. The circular courtyard behind us remained quiet. 9 roosters were perched in the henhouse. The stagnant pool behind the mountain was completely still. But I don't know. The moment I stepped out of the courtyard gate, something that has been trapped for 17 years, I'm starting to wake up. It was still dark when I left home. The village streetlights are spaced a few meters apart, their dim yellow light falling on the ground like a thin layer of mist. I carried the old bag my father had prepared on my back, and clutched the escape guide in my hand. As I walked out of the village, I looked back once more. The circular courtyard wall stood there quietly. The courtyard gate was half closed. My father didn't come out to see me off. This is just like his personality. From childhood to adulthood, he has always been ruthless in making any decision. He said he would let me go, and he would never let me turn back. But I know, it's not that he didn't want to send it. He dared not send it, because if he leaves that courtyard, something even more serious might happen. I glanced down at the red string on my wrist. This is what my father tied back on before he left. He said, don't pick them unless absolutely necessary. It can protect you once, only once. When my father said this, his eyes were very serious. I didn't understand at the time. I found out later. Many things in this world are not infinite. The same applies to protective items. The last bus to town is in half an hour. I originally wanted to do as my father suggested and find a place to change my clothes first. But I only found out when I got to the market town. All the shops are closed. The convenience store, which is usually open in the early hours of the morning, is closed today. The streets were unusually quiet. I stood by the roadside, feeling an indescribable sense of oppression. My father gave me instructions. The first thing to do after passing away is to change into funeral clothes. Because that burial garment was not an ordinary garment. It was to cover up my scent, make those things unable to find me for the time being. But now, I have nowhere to buy it. I glanced at the time. Dawn is not far off. If we continue to wait, you might miss the bus. I could only follow the method my father left behind, folding the funeral clothes neatly and putting them into the bag. Leave first. We'll change it when we get to the next place. After getting on the bus, I sat in the last row. There were very few people on the bus. The driver had the radio on. The news was playing in the early morning. I hadn't noticed it at first, until a message came on the radio. Recently, some areas have experienced rare celestial phenomena, and experts are reminding citizens to pay attention to safety. I looked up at the car window. The sky outside was dark, but I always feel there was a gaze following me. I closed my eyes. I wanted to calm myself down, but his father's words kept echoing in his mind. After midnight, no matter who calls you, do not open the door, even if he says he is me. A few hours later, I arrived at the provincial capital's train station. According to the address left by the father, I'm going to find Wei Cien. That name. I've heard my father mention it a few times since I was little. Every time it's mentioned, the father's expression was very complicated. It was like awe. It also seemed like guilt. I don't know who Wei Cien is, but my father told me this before he left. If there is still one person in the world who can protect me, that person is him. After entering the station, I'll go buy the tickets first. I just handed over my ID card. The security personnel next to me suddenly looked at my bag. What's inside? My heart skipped a beat. Personal belongings. Open it and take a look. I hesitated for a moment. It was open anyway. There are changes of clothes inside. Black cloth bag. And that short blade. The security personnel's expression changed. You can't bring this. I explained. This is for self-defense. Even a self-defense knife won't do. He said this as he reached out and took it. I did not resist. My father once said that, in crowded places, don't easily expose yourself. But just as the short blade was taken away, I felt a chill run down my spine. It felt like someone was right behind me. I turned my head. There was nothing unusual in the crowd. Everyone was rushing to catch the train, but just then, a voice came from behind. Su Yen. My body froze instantly. This sound. I know it all too well. He is the father. Su Yen, come with me. I slowly turned around. The man standing behind was wearing the old coat that his father usually liked to wear. The face is also the father's face. Even their voices are the same. My heart skipped a beat. Dad? He reached out his hand to me. Don't stand there. Come back with me. I almost walked over there, but the next second, I saw his hand. Those hands were deathly pale. The skin is wrinkled. Nails are turning black. It felt like I'd been soaking in water for days. I stopped in my tracks. Father's hand. That's not how it works. When that thing saw that I didn't approach, the smile on its face slowly disappeared. How? You don't even recognize your own father? My back started to feel cold. I remembered what was written on that piece of paper. After midnight, someone is calling your name. Do not respond. Even if he says he is the father. This thing in front of you. It's not Suheng. It merely borrowed the image of its father. You are not him, I said in a low voice. The people around suddenly stopped. The man's expression froze. What did you say? I said. You're not my dad. The next second, his lips gradually cracked open. The cracks are widening. It was a laugh that didn't seem human at all. A strong, fishy smell wafted over. Just as I was about to back away, a voice suddenly came from the side. Don't look into his eyes. A station attendant walked over. He was wearing a uniform. His face was pale. He was holding a black police baton. Young man, step back. I was stunned for a moment. The staff member on duty appeared too suddenly. He looked at the fake Suheng. His tone was cold. This is not a place for you. The fake Suheng stared at him. Slowly, the smile faded. You want to get involved too? The staff on duty did not answer. He simply raised his hand. The surrounding air suddenly turned cold. This was the first time I felt that way. At this station. Except for that thing pretending to be the father. There are other beings that do not belong to the living. The two sides remained deadlocked for a few seconds. The fake Suheng suddenly turned around, to blend into the crowd, disappeared. I breathed a sigh of relief. But the person on duty did not relax. He said in a low voice. Didn't your father tell you when he told you to leave? I looked at him. Tell me what? He slowly turned his head. Water droplets began to seep from the skin on my face. Let me tell you, there is more than one thing in this world that wants to find you. My breathing stopped. The next second, his body began to change. Beneath the soaked uniform, the sound of water sloshing could be heard. His face grew paler and paler. The lips turned blue. Drops of icy water. It kept falling from his sleeves. I finally understand. The person who just saved me. It's not a person either. The lights in the station hall began to flicker one by one. I stood still. staring at the changing guard in front of me. His face had completely lost its human appearance. My skin looks like it's been soaking in water for too long. It's pale and swollen. A thin crack appeared at the corner of its mouth, revealing no tongue. Only a continuous flow of black liquid. I finally understand. That thing impersonating my father wasn't the only one targeting me. My father asked me to leave. Not because of any danger. It is a group of things. They know who I am. I know where I'm going. They even know my name. The guardian spirit approached me step by step. With each step, wet footprints are left on the ground. Give me that cloth bag. It was staring at my waist. I instinctively covered the black cloth bag. This is something my father gave me before he passed away. He said not to open it until the very end. Do you know what this is? I asked. The guardian spirit chuckled. The sound was like a bubble bursting. Your father left it to you so that you could live. Pity. It stretched out its hand. What's inside can't save you either. I took a step back. The red string on my wrist suddenly became hot. That instant, I felt something inside my body being awakened. The spirit on guard stopped. It stared into my eyes. The expression on his face changed for the first time. I see. No wonder he couldn't bear to kill you. I don't understand. You know my dad? It did not answer. It just pounced suddenly. It was moving so fast it didn't seem like a living thing. I instinctively dodged to the side. Its hand brushed against my shoulder. A chilling sensation instantly spread throughout my body. It felt like countless cold fingers were pulling at my body. I gritted my teeth and backed away. There was only one thought in my mind. Survive. My father once said that. Don't trust anyone who suddenly appears. Especially those who know my name. I turned and rushed toward the station exit. A sharp laugh came from behind. Su-yen, you can't escape. Your fate was already written. I didn't turn around. After rushing out of the station, I plunged straight into the crowd. The moment the sunlight falls, the chill behind me subsided slightly. But I know, those things won't be given up easily. I followed the route my father had left behind, preparing to transfer to another vehicle. While waiting, the sound of an ambulance could be heard from afar. Several medical staff rushed into the station pushing a stretcher. People around automatically made way. I didn't pay any attention to it at first, but when the stretcher passed by me, I saw the corpse above. It was a face that was both familiar and unfamiliar, wearing old clothes from our village. I recognized him. He was an old man in the village. He was sunbathing at the village entrance just a few days ago. How could someone suddenly die here? I moved a little closer. I want to confirm the situation. But the next second, the body on the stretcher suddenly opened its eyes. He stared straight at me. Those eyes lacked the vitality of a living person. There was only deep resentment. I understood instantly. This was no ordinary death. It was brought out by something. I've found you. The medical staff next to them suddenly spoke up. I turned my head abruptly. All three medical staff looked at me at the same time. They had the same smile on their faces. The smiles were so synchronized. Too stiff. They're not like normal people at all. The ambulance door slowly opened. It was pitch black inside. It looks like an open mouth. I didn't hesitate at all. He turned and ran. Footsteps sounded behind me, getting closer and closer. I know I can't stop. If you stop, I might end up like that corpse. Become their tool for finding me. I ran through several streets. Finally, I stumbled into a small shop that was still open. A few old characters were hanging on the shop door. Funeral clothing store. I was stunned for a moment. Then he went inside. The shop owner was an old man. He saw that I was covered in cold sweat, but his face remained calm. What to buy? I was panting. Clothing. The old man glanced at me. Buy it for the living. Or for the dead? I remained silent for a moment. It would be all right. The old man didn't ask any further questions. He took out a set of black clothes directly from inside. Put them on. I took the clothes. Change out of your old clothes. That moment, I finally understand why my father asked me to prepare his funeral clothes. It wasn't to play dead. It was to mislead those things into misjudging my identity. Between humans and ghosts, sometimes all that's missing is a layer of concealment. After leaving the funeral shop, it was completely dark. I didn't dare stay in a regular hotel. As per his father's request, we found a small, secluded hotel. The boss saw that I was wearing black, but didn't ask any questions. They just handed me the key. Don't open the door to strangers at night. My heart skipped a beat. Why? The boss looked down the corridor. Lower your voice. People have died here before. Someone knocked on the door at night. Never mind. My hand gripping the keys tightened slightly. This sentence. It was exactly the same as what my father had told me. After entering the room, I closed the door immediately. Checked the windows. Checked the door lock. Then he placed the black cloth bag left by his father on the table. Time passed little by little. The room was eerily quiet. Until midnight. There was a sudden knock on the door. Thump, thump, thump. My body tensed up instantly. Someone was standing outside the door. Su Yen. It was his father's voice. My breath caught in my throat for a moment. Open the door. Dad's here to pick you up. I gripped the short blade beside the bed tightly. There was no response. The voice outside the door grew gentler. Su Yen. Dad knows you're scared. Open the door. Let's go home. My eyes were fixed on the crack in the door. The next second, a drop of black water. It slowly seeped in from outside the door. I'm finally sure. Things outside. Here we go again. I remembered what my father had said. After midnight. Whoever it is, either of them can open the door. Even if he says he is me. I gritted my teeth. It didn't move. But just then, a black cloth bag on the table. Suddenly, a crack appeared on itself. A pitch-black pill rolled out of it. A cold and eerie aura emanated from it. It instantly filled the entire room. The voice outside the door suddenly changed. Su Yen, your father lied to you. You have no idea what you are. I looked at the black pill. I don't know why. A thought popped into my head. Perhaps this is the last insurance policy my father left me. Now it's time to open it. I reached out and picked up the Ghost King's spirit pill. He swallowed it. The next second, intense pain swept through my entire body. My consciousness began to fade. Countless sounds came from my ears. The sound of crying, laughter, a roar. It felt like countless ghosts were simultaneously entering my body, and the things outside the door. For the first time, a sound of fear was uttered. How could he have swallowed that thing? Has Su-hung gone mad? This is what I looked like before I lost consciousness. The last words I heard. When I woke up, my first feeling was cold. It wasn't the weather that made it cold. It was a chill that seeped from the very bones. I lay on the ground, and my fingers twitched slightly. A soft, rustling sound came to my ears. Woke up. He actually survived. This kid's got a tough life. I suddenly opened my eyes. There was a man standing in the room. He was wearing an old black coat, was thin, and had a cold expression. What's most striking is his face. On the left side of his face, there are 3 scars that extend from his brow bone to the corner of his mouth. Those 3 scars looked as if they had been repeatedly torn apart by some sharp weapon. His eyes were cold. It was so cold it didn't feel like I was looking at a person. It's more like observing something that's about to spiral out of control. Who are you? I struggled to sit up. The man did not answer. He simply walked to the table and glanced at the empty cloth bag. Ghost King Spirit Pill. Do you know what you've eaten? I didn't say anything. The man looked at me. That thing has been sealed with Yin energy for decades. If an ordinary person swallows it, they will explode and die within 3 minutes. You're something else. I slept all night. He's still alive and can speak. I frowned. Who exactly are you? He finally spoke. Wei Xian. Upon hearing this name, my heart skipped a beat. The person my father asked me to find. That's him. You know my dad? Wei Xian remained silent for a while. No. We're very familiar with each other. I hate it too. I was stunned. Why? Wei Xian did not answer. He just looked at me. Did Su-hung tell you what you are? I shook my head. He said I had bad luck? Wei Xian sneered. Bad luck? He makes it sound so easy. He took a step closer. When you were born, the Yin energy within a radius of dozens of miles surged. Of the 7 midwives, 5 fell ill the next day. No wild animals have come near your house for 3 months. Your father spent 17 years trying to protect you. My heart sank as I listened. What's the meaning? Wei Xian stared at me. You are destined for a fierce and ominous fate. One that is rare even in 1,000 years. Your birth itself is a disaster. I clenched my fist. So what? That's why many people want to kill you. Wei Xian spoke calmly, including my past self. The air fell silent instantly. I looked at him. You want to kill me? I used to think so. And now? Wei Xian turned around. Now I'm going to save you. I do not understand. Why? He looked out the window. Because Su-hung has placed his last hope on you. And, he paused for a moment. If you really die, the world will be missing one person, but it will bring another disaster. I looked down at my hands. It started with swallowing that pill. My body changed. I can sense something around me that I couldn't perceive before. A corner of the room, beside the window, even inside the walls, there are some blurry shadows. I thought I was hallucinating, until Waitson asked me, "What can you see now?" I was stunned for a moment. What? The child in the corner. My body froze instantly. I slowly turned my head. There really was a child standing there, wearing old clothes. His face was pale. He kept looking at me. "You." My voice was strained. Waitson nodded. "It seems that the Ghost King's spirit pill has changed your body. Starting today, you can see things that ordinary people can't see." I looked at the child. "What is he?" "Wandering soul," Waitson said. "A soul that has nowhere to go after death. A remnant of the soul left in the human world." My breathing became heavy. The past 17 years, I have always lived in a world that I cannot see. Now, the world has finally opened its doors to me. Waitson led me away from the hotel. Along the way, I'm seeing more and more things that I couldn't see before. A person without a shadow stands on the street corner. A woman, soaking wet, sat by the bridge. There are also some monsters hiding in the darkness. They have always existed. I just can't see it. We entered an abandoned tunnel. There were no lights inside. The air is getting colder and colder. Waitson walked ahead. "This place connects the boundary between yin and yang." I frowned. "Why did you bring me here?" "To help you adapt to your own eyes," he said. "Your body has already merged with the yin energy. If it's not well controlled, you will be consumed by your own power." We have just entered the tunnel. Countless sounds came from all around. Someone is crying. Someone shouted. Someone called for help. "Help me. Take me out of here." I stopped in my tracks. Waitson did not turn around. "Don't believe it. All the sounds here. It's all to get the living to turn back." I gritted my teeth and kept walking. I don't know how long I walked. A glimmer of light appeared ahead. After going out, I saw a familiar village. My heart sank. That's my home. We returned to that circular courtyard. But what I see before me, it stunned me. The courtyard gate opened. The place was a complete mess. All 9 roosters disappeared. A crack appeared in the originally sturdy circular wall. I rushed in. "Dad!" There was no response. I ran all over the yard. Kitchen, room, chicken coop. There was no sign of the father. At last, I arrived at the stagnant pool behind the mountain. The area has completely dried up. The once bottomless, stagnant green water has disappeared. A black stone platform was revealed underneath. In the center of the stone platform, there was a coffin-shaped pendant on it. I picked it up. I recognized it at a glance. This is something my father always wore close to his body. Waitson stood to the side. His complexion grew increasingly grim. "Su-Hing is in trouble." I gripped the pendant tightly. "Where is he?" Waitson did not answer. Just then, the old computer in the courtyard suddenly turned on automatically. There is only one file on the screen. File name. There are only 3 words. Su-Hing stayed. I opened the file. There is only one paragraph of text inside. The first sentence. It left me frozen in place. "Su-Yen, if you see this letter, this means that Dad can no longer protect you." Next line. It reads, "Your fate was already being waited for from the day you were born." The words on the computer screen appeared line by line. I stared at the suicide note, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, hesitant to make a move. My father left behind very little. A circular courtyard house, 9 roosters that never crow. A stagnant pool that he had guarded for 17 years. And then there's this explanation. 17 years overdue. Su-Yen, by the time you read this letter, your father should have already passed away. It's not about escaping. It's to do the last thing that must be done. My throat feels tight. Leave. I am unwilling to accept this word. From childhood to adulthood, everyone thought my father was strange. The villagers said he was crazy. It is said that he guards a strange house every day and raises a flock of abnormal chickens. But only I know. This man dedicated his entire life to protecting me. The text on the screen continued to appear. When you were born, your sect calculated your fate. They believe you are a once-in-a-millennium curse. Your existence will attract evil spirits, and it will also become the key to the revival of certain beings. My breath hitched. It turns out that my father already knew. He wasn't unaware. He just kept it from me all along. Back then, someone suggested eliminating you. Waitson is one of them. I turned to look at the man behind me. Waitson stood there. There was no change in his face, but his hands slowly clenched. "And then what?" I asked. Waitson remained silent. The text on the computer provided the answer for him. I refused. I choose to believe you. In order to suppress the evil spirit within you, I left my sect and set up a circular trapping formation. The 9-young rooster absorbs the evil energy, and the stagnant pool suppresses the source of Een. You have grown up safely for the past 17 years. See here. I finally understand. The things my father does every day. It's not strange. It was the only solution he could think of. But the next sentence made my heart sink completely. The blood moon has appeared, and the formation is out of balance. Those things that are asleep will seek you out again. Su Yen, don't hate yourself. You are not a disaster. You were just born into a disaster. I stared at that sentence. My eyes feel hot. For 17 years, I've always felt like I'm someone who's been dragged down by fate. But in the end, my father never let me think that way. He wasn't worried that I would harm others. He was worried that I would deny myself because of my fate. Just then, Waitson suddenly spoke. Someone's coming. I turned around abruptly. Outside the window, a figure stood beside the courtyard wall. The man was wearing the old clothes his father often wore. Their backs are exactly the same. Su Yen. A familiar voice came from inside. Dad is back. My body tensed up instantly. If it were in the past, I may have already rushed over. But now, I saw something different. That person cast no shadow. His clothes were constantly dripping wet. The air was filled with the smell of rotting river water. I gripped the coffin-shaped pendant tightly in my hand. You are not my father. The person outside the window slowly turned around. The face was still Su Heng's face, but the smile has changed. He doesn't even recognize his father anymore? I didn't say anything. Waitson walked in front of me. Step back. His voice was cold. This thing is based on Su Heng's design, but the aura of a water corpse on its body cannot be hidden. The fake Su Heng stared at Wei Xian. You are still alive, Waitson said calmly. None of you are completely dead. Of course I want to live. The next second, the windows suddenly shattered. Black water rushed into the house like a snake. Waitson raised his hand and flicked out a paper talisman. Flames erupted instantly. The black liquid collided with the flames, producing a piercing sound. The fake Su Heng let out a strange laugh. Wei Xian, you protected him for 17 years. Is it worth it? Waitson did not answer. It's just taking one step forward. They blocked my way. Is it worth it? It's not your place to ask. This was the first time I had ever seen Waitson make a move. He moved very quickly. It was so fast that I could only see after images. A paper figure appeared in his hand. The moment the paper figure landed, it turned into a figure wearing armor. They pounced directly on the fake Su Heng. The two streams of Een energy collided. The entire mansion began to shake. I stood at the back. This is the first time I felt this way. I am only a thin sheet of paper separating me from the real world. The battle lasted a long time. At last, the fake Su Heng was forced to retreat by Wei Xian. It stood outside the courtyard wall, staring at me. Su Yen, you'll find out sooner or later. Your father is hiding more than you can imagine. After saying that, it turned into a pool of black water. They disappeared into the night. The courtyard fell silent again. I looked at Wei Xian. Why did you save me? Waitson put away the paper figure. Because this is what I owe Su Heng. What debt? He did not answer. He just looked into the distance. Starting today, you come with me. You need to learn how to live. I clenched my fist. I need to find my dad. Waitson looked at me. A long time passed, he said. Then you must become stronger first. Because I want to find Su Heng. What you have to face. Much stronger than that water corpse from before. That night, I left the house where I had lived for 17 years. I officially stepped into the world that my father had always wanted me to stay away from. An ordinary person will never see it. Yet, it is a world that truly exists. After leaving that circular mansion with Waitson, I realized that for the past 17 years, the place I had lived in was just a protected cage, and the day I left, the cage was opened. The outside world has finally revealed its true form. Waitson led me into an abandoned mountain road. Along the way, I was able to see many things that I couldn't see before. A figure stood behind the window in an abandoned old house by the roadside. There were wet footprints beside the stones by the river. Even in the woods at night, you can hear strange cries. This is the first time I've heard this. There are many things in this world that have always existed. It's just that ordinary people can't see it. After I swallowed the Ghost King's spirit pill, I no longer had the right to pretend I didn't know. Don't look around. Waitson walked ahead. When spiritual vision is first activated, it is most easily influenced. I asked, are those things all real? Real. Why did they remain in the human world? Waits and pause for a moment. Some are unwilling to accept it. Some are obsessions. There are also some that were deliberately left behind. I frowned. Deliberately? Some people want to continue living even after they die. So they look for opportunities to take the places of living people. Upon hearing this, I remembered the water corpse that impersonated my father. It didn't want to kill me. It's more like it's waiting for an opportunity. An opportunity to replace me. Waitson did not continue to explain. We walked for a long time. Finally, they arrived at a cave. The entrance to the cave was blocked by a black stone door. It was engraved with many strange symbols. I just got close. Suddenly, countless sounds came to my ears. Help me. It hurts so much. Don't go. My expression changed. The sound came from behind the stone gate. Waitson glanced at me. Did you hear that? I nodded. This is the boundary between yin and yang. Something is trapped inside and cannot leave. You now possess spiritual vision. They can sense your presence. He finished speaking. He reached out and pressed his hand on the stone door. The stone gate slowly opened. A chilling aura swept over us. There are no streetlights inside. There was no fire. There is only one passage that seems to have no end. Go in. I looked at him. Where is this place? To help you get to know yourself. I took a deep breath. I followed them inside. Just entered the passage. Then, figures appeared in the surrounding darkness. There are elderly people. They have children. There are people dressed in ancient clothes. They stood on either side. They were all staring at me. The newly deceased? It doesn't look like it. His body is full of life. There's also a ghostly aura. The sounds intertwined. It gave me the creeps. I clenched my fist. I forced myself to keep moving forward. Sudden, a man covered in blood rushed in front of me. His face was rotting. Yet he can still speak. Help me. I stopped in my tracks. Waits and said coldly, don't stop. He's lying to you. I gritted my teeth and kept walking. The man's voice suddenly changed. You are just like your father. They're all liars. You have killed us. My body stiffened. I was just about to turn around. Waitson suddenly shouted. Su Yen! Keep going! I forcibly looked away. Until you exit the passage. I just realized that. My back was soaked with cold sweat. Waitson looked at me. You did a good job. This is the first time I've heard him praise me. Although his tone remained indifferent. But I know. He genuinely approves. That thing just said my father killed them. Is it true? Waitson remained silent for a moment. You'll find out later. What you need to know now is, your path is harder than others. I looked at him. Why? Waitson turned around. Because you are not simply a living person. These words weighed on my heart like a stone. I looked down at my hands. Ever since swallowing the Ghost King's spirit pill, my body is becoming less and less like it used to be. I can see evil spirits. You can sense the yin energy. Sometimes, I even feel that those wandering spirits understand me better than the living. This change, it scares me. That forced me to accept it. Later, Waitson led me back to a secluded dwelling. There was nothing superfluous there. There were only paper figures in the room. Wooden puppet. There are also all sorts of strange objects. This is the first time I've heard this. Waitson as described by her father. It comes from a lineage called Guananindu. The significance of this sect's existence. It's not about killing ghosts. Instead, it's sending away ghosts. Let those things that shouldn't remain in the human world return to where they belong. Starting today, Waitson placed a blank paper figure in front of me. Practice. I looked at the paper figure. How do I practice? Let it move. I frowned. It's that simple? Waitson glanced at me. Simple? 9 out of 10 apprentices can't even control paper figures in their first year. I didn't say anything more. I started trying it according to his method. Day 1. The paper figure did not react. The next day, the paper figure fell down. The third day, the paper figure began to move. But it only took a few seconds. It suddenly turned on you. It hit me directly in the chest. I was knocked flying. Waitson stood beside me. Without helping me up. Stand up. I gritted my teeth and got up. Can't you teach a little more gently? Waitson said calmly. Your enemy will not be gentle. They know who you are. Will they give you a way to survive? I remained silent. He's right. From the day I left home, I have no way out. The days that followed, I began receiving training from Wei Cien to draw symbols, soul control, crossing the yin, identify evil objects. Each time it fails, I will be devoured by my own power. But every time I stand up, I am stronger than before. Waitson never praises me. They never comforted me. He would only say one thing when I couldn't take it anymore. Continue. 5 years. The training passed slowly amidst this almost brutal ordeal. I started as an ordinary teenager who knew nothing. He became a disciple of the Coffin Gate, capable of facing evil spirits alone. But I don't know. Over these 5 years, Waitson has also been shielding me from an even greater danger. It wasn't until many years later that I understood. The last words my father left me. It's not about me finding someone to protect me. Instead, it helped me find one. Someone willing to risk their life for me. 5 years is enough time to change a person. That's enough to make a person forget what they used to be like. When I first started following Waitson, I couldn't even distinguish an ordinary wandering spirit. All I know is fear. I'm afraid of things that have no shadow. I'm afraid of sudden noises at night. I'm even more afraid that one day I'll become the uncontrollable disaster my father described. But 5 years later, I was able to enter places with heavy energy on my own. It can see things hidden in the darkness. They can also use the technique of coffin gate crossing to send away those souls that should not remain in the human world. However, Waitson was still rarely satisfied. That night, I have just completed a soul transfer. Before the soul of an old man who had been trapped in the human world for many years dissipated, he said something to me. Your aura is very similar to your father's. I was stunned for a moment. You know him? The old man did not answer. I just smiled. Then it turned into a point of white light and disappeared into the night. I stood there for a long time. After I got back, I asked Wei Xian, who exactly is my father? Waitson is arranging the paper figures. Upon hearing my words, he stopped what he was doing. Why are you suddenly asking this? Because everyone who knows him, but no one is willing to tell me the truth. Waitson remained silent. A long time passed. He said, Su Hing is the most stubborn person I have ever met. He's also the most ruthless person. I frowned. Ruthless? Be ruthless to yourself. Waitson looked down at the paper figure in his hand. To protect you, he abandoned his own cultivation. Leave the sect. Bear all the infamy. I'm even prepared to one day trade my life for yours. My heart skipped a beat. These things, my father never told me. In my memory, he was just a silent man, repairing the wall every day, raising chickens. They guarded that eerie home. But I only found out now. It's not that he doesn't want to live an ordinary life. It started from the day I was born. He has no right to choose. And what about you? I looked at Wei Xian. Why did you help him? Waitson didn't look at me. Because I was wrong back then. This was the first time he had admitted to it. Over the past 5 years, he never mentions the past. He doesn't explain his scars. They didn't explain why they were willing to take me in. Until this day, he finally spoke. Back then, our sect believed that your birth was a calamity. Everyone felt that it should be resolved ahead of schedule. I'm one of them. My hands slowly clenched into fists. And then what? Later, Su Heng held you, who had just been born, and stood in front of the mountain gate. He said one sentence. I looked at him. What did he say? Waitson remained silent for a moment. He said, if this child is destined to be a disaster, then this disaster should be borne by him. The father. The room fell silent. I lowered my head. This is the first time I've truly understood my father. He wasn't without fear. He just hid his fear. It was hidden for 17 years. Hidden until the very last moment. The day my 5-year spiritual practice ended. Waitson led me to a stone chamber. There were 3 boxes inside. In the first box, it was a black chain. The surface of the chain is covered with runes. As soon as I got close, I could feel countless struggling breaths emanating from inside. This is the soul-binding lock, Waitson said. It can lock souls and suppress evil spirits. The second box was opened. There were 2 bone knives inside, one black and one white. The hilt appears to be made of some kind of special bone. Daytime brightness. Night is dark, Waitson said. This is an item passed down through the lineage of the Yin Fairy of the Coffin Gate. From today onwards, they belong to you. I reached out and gripped the knife handle. A chilling force instantly entered his body, but strangely enough, I did not reject it. It felt like something I hadn't seen for years had come back to me. The third box. It is a bronze bowl. The bowl is engraved with ancient patterns. Ancestral worship and spirit guiding bowl. Waitson looked at it. In the future, if you encounter a soul that cannot be saved, you can use it to communicate with the underworld. I looked at these things in front of me. I know this starts today. I am no longer the boy who was protected by my father. Instead, they truly stepped into this world. Master, this is in the past 5 years. This is the first time I've called Waitson this. He paused for a moment. Who gave you permission to call me that? I smiled. Nobody's here. I just felt that's the right way to call it. Waitson did not refute. He simply turned around. Leaving tomorrow. I was stunned. Where to? Go where you're supposed to go. Where? Waitson looked into the distance. The underworld. I frowned. How can a living person go to the underworld? You are no longer an ordinary living person. He finished speaking. He handed me a copper coin. Choosing a path. I took the copper coin. What's the meaning? There are 3 paths to the Inn Ferry at the Coffin Gate. Ghost crossing. To ward off evil spirits. Entering the Inn. You choose. I looked down at the copper coins. Front. It is an ancient character for Inn. Back. It was a blurry door. I thought of my father. I think of that round courtyard house. I remember the look in his eyes when he last looked at me. I tossed the copper coin into the air. When it falls, face up. Waitson glanced at it. You chose Indu. I nodded. I want to know the truth. I need to find my dad. Waitson did not stop him. He simply picked up his old knife. Then let's go. The next day, we left the place of spiritual practice. 5 years of training have come to an end. The time for the master and apprentice to part ways had come. Waitson didn't say much in farewell. He was just standing at the intersection. Look at me, Su Yan. When you encounter problems in the future, don't rush to prove yourself. Survive first. I nodded. This is the first thing he has taught me in 5 years. It is also the most important thing. Survive. Only then can we find the answer. Just as I was about to leave, the sky suddenly darkened. A cold wind blew by. 2 figures appeared ahead. A person holding a black iron chain. One is holding a white banner for summoning souls. I hold tightly to the light of day and the darkness of night. Waitson did not move. They're here, he said. Your first job. That moment, I finally met the legendary underworld messengers. This is the first time I've heard of it. The truth behind the father's disappearance. The mystery is about to be unveiled. Starting from the underworld, 2 figures, one from the underworld and one from the police force, stood at the end of the desolate road. A man dressed in a black robe, holding an iron chain. A figure dressed in white, holding a banner to summon souls. The aura emanating from them caused the surrounding temperature to drop instantly. I held the light of day and the darkness of night, and did not approach rashly. 5 years of training taught me a lesson. The calmer something appears, the more likely it is to harbor danger. Waitson stood beside me and whispered, "Take it easy. They're not here to cause trouble. They've come to deliver a message." The man in the black robe glanced at me. Su Yan? I nodded. Yes. The man in the white robe opened the booklet in his hand. Disciple of the Inn crossing at the Coffin Gate. Half human, half ghost. Son of Su-hing. Hearing his father's name, my heart skipped a beat. You know my dad? The man in black did not answer immediately. He just stared at the booklet in his hand. No, but I can't tell you now. I frowned. Why? The man in the white robe closed the booklet. Because your father's name has appeared unusual in the book of life and death. I was stunned. What's the meaning? The man in black robes slowly said, a normal person's life and death record includes birth and death. Where does the soul return? There is a predetermined end to one's life. But Su-hing's records. It's broken. My breath caught in my throat for a moment. It's broken? The 3 souls of heaven, earth, and man, all of them have disappeared without a trace. Upon hearing this sentence, I froze on the spot. Over the past 5 years, I kept telling myself that the father is simply missing. He must still be alive. But now, the people of the underworld told me, even his soul cannot be found. Waitson stood to the side. His complexion remained unchanged, but I can tell, his hands were clenched tightly. Is it possible? I asked. He's still alive? The man in white remained silent for a moment. But this situation is rare. Unless someone or some force forcibly cuts off his life. The image of my father before he disappeared flashed through my mind. He knew he might not be able to come back, but they still made me leave. Where did he go? What are we facing this time? The man in the black robe looked at me. Su Yan, you are not in a position to investigate Su-hing now. I looked up. Why? Because you are too weak. This statement is very direct. However, it was not meant to be insulting. You can't even control your own life now. What can we use to approach him? I remained silent. 5 years ago. Me too. I know nothing. She could only be protected by her father. He was protected by Wei Xian. But now, I don't want to continue like this. What am I supposed to do? The man in black robes said. Complete the first task assigned in the underworld. I looked at him. What's up? The man in white handed me a black paper talisman. A name is written on it. When Ma. Go to Yukwang village. Find this soul. Send her to the underworld. I looked at that name. Who is she? The man in black robes said. A vengeful spirit that drowned a century ago. He is also the soul that has been trapped there the longest. I frowned. Why should I go? The man in black robes glanced at Wei Cien. Because this is a test for you. It is also an acknowledgement of the legacy of the Coffin Gate Een Fairy. I gripped the paper talisman tightly. What if we fail? The man in white said calmly. The loser. There's usually no chance to come back. The words fell. The two figures slowly disappeared. The deserted road has returned to quiet. I looked at the paper talisman in my hand. Waitson walked over to my side. Fear? I shook my head. Fear. He glanced at me. I continued, but I will go. Waitson showed a slight smile for the first time. It's very light. Almost invisible. Like him. I know he was talking about his father. 3 days later. I arrived at Yukwang village. We haven't entered the village yet. I sensed something was wrong. An octagonal bronze mirror stands at the entrance of the village. The mirror surface is covered with cracks, but each crack seems to be arranged in a special way. I stood there and watched for a while. His expression slowly changed. This is a ghost trapping formation. Similar formations were recorded in Waitson's notes. The village is the focal point. Use the river as a guide. Using human blood as a catalyst. The entire village is itself a giant feng shui cage. I walked into the village entrance. Several villagers are moving things. After seeing me, they all stopped. An old man walked over. Out-of-towner? I nodded, looking for someone. The old man stared at me. Who should I look for? Weneo. Hearing this name, the expressions on the faces of everyone around them changed. The old man remained silent for a long time. He then said, There is no such person in the village. I looked at him. He didn't speak, because I saw it. When he lies. His eyes were darting away. The old man's name was Uncle Chin. He is the person who guards the village. He led me into the village. Along the way, I find this place strange. At the door of every household, they all had similar talismans hanging on them to ward off evil spirits. There is a copper bell. There is a red string. There are old symbols. Unlike ordinary villages, it's more like everyone is on guard against something. Lord Chin, I asked, has your village always been like this? He paused for a moment. What's the meaning? It's like they're guarding against something. The old man remained silent. Young people, some things. It's better not to know than to know. I watched his retreating figure. I know this old man. It hides many secrets. At night, I moved into an old house in the village. I just sat down. A sound suddenly came from outside the door. Clatter, clatter, clatter. It's like someone wearing wet shoes, walking around at the doorway. I activated my spiritual vision. I saw it instantly. A figure, soaking wet, stood outside the door. It lowered its head. Water kept flowing down his body. One hand. It is slowly approaching the doorknob. I grasped the daylight. The next second, a woman's voice came from outside the door. Help me. I died a terrible death. I didn't open the door. Because I saw it. It has no feet. It was floating outside the door. And just then, on the other side of the village, suddenly, a scream rang out. Immediately afterwards, all the villagers turned off their lights at the same time. The entire Yukwang village, engulfed in darkness. I stood inside the house. No, the real investigation. Here we go. The night in Fish Basket Village was more dangerous than I had imagined. The wet figure outside was still there. It has no feet, yet it can move back and forth outside the door. Every time you get close, a pool of black water seeps in from under the door. I held Zhoming in my hand, but did not make a move immediately. Waitson taught me, when encountering an unknown entity, first determine its purpose. Some ghosts want to harm people. Some ghosts just want an answer. The thing in front of them was filled with resentment. But it did not attack immediately. It's as if it's waiting. Who are you? I asked. There was a moment of silence outside the door. The woman's voice rang out again. I can't go home. My child is still waiting for me. Upon hearing this, I frowned. What's your name? The sounds outside suddenly became shrill. Temperature. He had just uttered a single word. The lights in the whole room suddenly went out. The next moment, a tremendous surge of energy erupted from the depths of the village. The water reflection outside the door vanished instantly. I pushed open the door and went out. A black fog rose from the direction of the river in the distance. The black fog surged like a tide. It spread throughout the entire village. The villagers came out of their houses one after another. They did not panic. Instead, it was as if they had experienced it countless times before. Someone took out a yellow talisman. Someone brought out a wooden basin filled with black ash. Others were carrying a stone slab engraved with runes. I stood in the crowd. This was the first time I sensed something was wrong with this village. The people here. It's not that they didn't know the danger. Instead, they had long been accustomed to the danger. Uncle Chin walked over. His face looked pale. Go back to the house. I looked at the black mist on the river. What is that? It's none of your business. I came here to investigate Waneo. Hearing this name, Chin Bo's body visibly stiffened for a moment. Who sent you? The underworld. Chin Bo's expression changed instantly. He stared at the black paper talisman in my hand. The voice lowered. Are you a member of the Indu lineage? I did not answer, just looking at him. Can you tell me the truth now? Duke Chin remained silent for a long time. He finally sighed. Young people, some secrets, once known, can never be undone. There's no going back now. Uncle Chin looked at me. His eyes held a complex expression. You are just like your father. A thought struck me. You know Su-hing? The old man did not deny it. He's been here before. Many years ago. I was just about to ask another question. The black fog in the river suddenly churned violently. A black column of water shot into the sky. Countless cries and screams came from inside. Give it back to me. Give me back my child. The villagers began to retreat. Uncle Chin picked up the copper bell. It shook violently. A clear, crisp bell rang out. The things in the river seemed to be suppressed. It slowly sank down. I watched this scene unfold. My doubts grew stronger. What exactly is hidden in this village? Why is the Yin energy so heavy? Why does everyone seem to be waiting for a certain day to arrive? The next day, I began to investigate the situation in the village. Although Chin Bo was unwilling to say it, but I still found a lot of clues. The houses in the village are not arranged randomly. The location of each house corresponds to the course of the river. There are also a large number of ancient stone foundations underground. Those stone foundations are not ordinary building materials. Rather, it was a talisman left behind by the ancient navy to ward off evil spirits. I walked along the old road in the village. A stone tablet with inscriptions was found in an abandoned courtyard. It records an old story. A long time ago, 7 naval families once garrisoned this place. They were responsible for suppressing a malevolent river. Then one day, all 7 tribes died overnight. The bodies all sank to the bottom of the river. From then on, a curse was cast upon the village. The descendants of the clan cannot leave. Once you are away from the village for more than 10 days, various unexpected events may occur. Someone suddenly died. Someone is missing. Someone died in their dream. I looked at the words on the stone tablet. I finally understand. This village is not a place where ghosts are trapped. It also traps people. All the villagers. They are all part of this grand formation. Afternoon. I found a special person. Wen Dai. The only person in the entire village still surnamed Wen. He lived in an old house at the end of the village. The villagers all called him a fool, because he doesn't know how to communicate normally. He only carries a worn-out wooden box with him every day. I sat by the door, lost in thought. The first time I met him, he was squatting on the ground drawing water ripples. See me? He suddenly looked up. You smell like him. I stopped in my tracks. Who? Wen Dai pointed at my waist. There hangs a coffin-shaped pendant left by my father. He came. My heart skipped a beat. Have you met my dad? Wen laughed. He told me, if one day a person comes with a black and white bone knife, that means the time has come. My gaze instantly turned cold. Who exactly are you? Wen Dai did not answer. He simply held the wooden box tightly in his arms. I activated my spiritual vision. The next second, he was stunned. Behind Wen Dai, the ghostly figure of an old woman stood there. She placed her hands on Wen Dai's shoulders. He kept looking at me. In those eyes, there is a century-old grudge. There is also a sorrow that cannot be dispelled. Wen Ma. I finally found her. But just as I was about to speak, the wooden box in Wen Dai's arms suddenly opened. There was nothing inside. There was only one small tripod encased in brass. I could tell at a glance. That's not an ordinary bronze artifact. Its brass exterior is just a disguise. The real stuff inside. It is a bronze yin ding. a type of ancient Chinese cooking vessel. When Ao's soul instantly became stronger, the room was filled with a frenzy of moisture. River direction. A tremendous roar was heard. The next moment, the water level in the village began to rise. Black river water rushed into the streets. Countless water ghosts crawled out from inside. The villagers fled in terror. Uncle Chin stood at the entrance of the village. The dampness is getting worse. Suddenly he said, "So many years. It's time to end this." He picked up an old knife, preparing to walk into the river. I stopped him. "What are you up to?" Uncle Chin looked at me. "Seal the formation. With my life." I stared at him. "Have you always been like this?" "Every generation of village guardians. They all have to sacrifice themselves at the last moment." He finished speaking. They walked towards the river. I gripped the daylight tightly, looking at the out-of-control black water in front of him. I finally understand. When Ao is not a simple vengeful spirit, behind her lies the century-old secret of the entire Yukwang village, and I want to send her to the underworld. We must first break this deadlock that has trapped everyone. As Chinbo walked towards the river, I saw the deathly aura emanating from him. That wasn't the aura of an ordinary old person. Rather, it is a shackle left behind by generations of village guardians. He has carried the burden of this village for far too long. So long that even he himself felt that the only way to end it all was through death. "Lord Chin." I stood in front of him. "Get out of the way." His voice sounded tired. "This is the fate of the village guardians." I watched the black water rise continuously. "Who told you that?" Uncle Chin was stunned. I gripped the daylight tightly. "If a formation requires each generation to sacrifice their lives to fill it, then it's not a guardian. It devours people." Chinbo remained silent. The black water in the river had already overflowed the stone steps. Countless water ghosts were struggling inside. They were not ordinary Yin creatures summoned by Wenmao. Rather, it is the souls of those who died here 100 years ago. They were trapped in the formation, unable to leave. They cannot be reincarnated. I finally understand. The real problem in Fish Basket Village is not a vengeful spirit. It was a deadly formation that had trapped people for a century. I took out the soul-chasing and spirit-binding lock. It was flung towards the river. The chains flew out instantly. They entangled a water corpse that had just emerged from the water. The water corpse struggled frantically. Once touched by the chains, the resentment in his body began to dissipate rapidly. I saw its originally ferocious face slowly return to that of an ordinary man. He looked at me. His lips moved. "Finally, someone has seen us." The next second, his soul transformed into white light. It vanished into the world. This scene silenced all the villagers. They'd been guarding this place for so many years. "This is the first time I've heard of this. Those things in the river." I was once a human being. I looked at Wen Dai. To be precise, he was looking at Wen's mother, who was attached to Wen Dai's back. "Come out. Let's talk." Wen Dai's body trembled slightly. Then, an aged figure emerged from his body. She was wearing old clothes. His hair is gray. His face was filled with deep sorrow. She looked at me. "You and Su Hing are very similar." I gripped the coffin-shaped pendant tightly in my hand. "You know my dad." When Ma nodded. "He came. He knows everything that happened here. He also knew that you would come sooner or later." My heart sank. "Where is he now?" When Ma did not answer, he simply looked at the bronze Yin Ding. He wanted to save everyone, but he underestimated the power of this formation. The 7 naval forces of that time did not die in an accident. I looked at her. "Who did this?" When Ma closed her eyes. "It's a person. It's also greed. 100 years ago, the 7 Branches Navy family discovered a Yin artifact. That is the bronze Yin Ding. This thing can gather Yin energy from the water, control the souls of the dead in the river. Some people want to use it to change their fate, bring the dead back. Thus, the taboo was broken. Overnight, all 7 tribes perished, and the Wen family, to become the last clan to guard the cauldron. When Ao did this to protect her people, he forcibly trapped his soul inside the Yin cauldron. She originally intended to suppress her genitals, but I never expected it. A century has passed. The resentment grew stronger. She also came from the Guardian. It has become part of the predicament. I didn't mean to hurt them." When Mao looked at the villagers outside, his voice trembled. "I just want them to remember. Remember those who have died." I looked at her. But now, they were trapped too. When Ma remained silent, I walked up to the bronze Yin Ding. The daylight and the darkness of night vibrated simultaneously. Inside this vulva, it's not just resentment that's hidden there. There are still the last remaining obsessions of the 7 naval factions. I raised the ancestral offering bowl, following the method Waitson taught me. Infuse your own energy into it. Did you hear that? I looked at the river. A century-old feud. It's time to end this. The bronze ding began to vibrate. The entire village of Yuquan was shaking. The water ghosts in the river all stopped. One after another. Remnant souls emerged from the black water. They looked at Wenmao. There was no anger. I'm just exhausted. Wenma shed tears. Turn out to be, you have never blamed me. Those souls slowly dissipated. The feng shui formation that had trapped the village was also beginning to show cracks. Qin Bo knelt on the ground. Looking at this scene, he remained silent for a long time. At last, he said in a low voice, "Our ancestors. Finally, we can walk." I looked at Wenma. "You should go too." She glanced at Wendai. This child. I'd been with him for many years. I looked at Wendai. This person was called a madman by everyone. In reality, he was simply being protected by a soul that had been lonely for 100 years. When Ao gently patted his head. He will live a good life. After saying that, she channeled her last bit of strength into Wendai's body. Then turned around. Head towards the Yin Road. Before leaving, she turned and looked at me. "Su Yen, your father is not dead." My body jolted. "Where is he?" Wenma shook her head. "I have no idea, but I know. He went to a place that even the underworld couldn't be found. There, someone is waiting for him." The words fell when Ao disappeared. The bronze ding also cracked in front of me. The outer brass layer has peeled off. The real bronze ding inside was reduced to fragments. The black water in Yuquang village slowly receded. A curse that has trapped people for 100 years. It's finally over. 3 days later. I'm getting ready to leave. Uncle Qin stood at the entrance of the village, looking at the river that has returned to calm. "Will you come back in the future?" I looked into the distance. There lies the answer I've been searching for 5 years. Meeting. There are still many things to do. I haven't found out yet. Uncle Qin nodded. "Like your father." I smiled. He shouldered the black package. It carries both daylight and night darkness. Embarking on a new path. This time, no father stood in front of me to protect me, without weights and watching over me. But I know, every step I take, they all bear the traces they left behind. The truth behind Su Heng's disappearance, Waitson's hidden past, and those who are watching me. They're all waiting for me to continue the investigation. And me. We are ready. Because from the day I swallowed the Ghost King's spirit pill, I knew it. My life. They were destined to be different from ordinary people. I am Su Yen, the successor of the Yin Fairy at Guanmen. It is also the one burdened with a 1,000-year-old cursed destiny. But he is the one who wants to change his fate with his own hands.